time to answer another request here on Random Review, and this one comes in from my friend Aaron. Not the podcast Aaron, not the one from TFW 2005. This is a different Aaron. I know two Aarons. It's amazing. But he had a request that was both broad yet had some challenge to it. He wanted me to review a part former. Well, I really don't own any part formers. Like, the only one I actually own is RID Ultra Magnus, who has so many things going on. I really don't think this is a good format to review him in. So we kind of had to sit down and powwow over what exactly made a part former, because there's no TF Wiki entry for it. And this is the conclusion we came to. Any transformer that requires a significant amount of its parts to be removed in order to form from one mode to the other. And it has to be significant enough to the point where if you don't have that part, you can't form one of the modes. So we kind of hammered it out, we kind of discussed, and this is as close as we could come up with out of my collection. This is Energon Autobot. And it's an interesting toy, so we're going to review it, and we'll see how that request actually went. Let me get this off first so we can get a full look at the vehicle mode itself. It is a big, heavy van. This is, like, seriously one of the more solid toys I've owned. Even going back to the mid-2000s stuff, it's really solid and heavy. Lots of bulk into this toy. Multi-shades of blue making up its plastic colors, with light blue running through the top, and a more standard style of blue all the way around, including the front bumper, and including a section of the rear, which is where you can start to see some of the robot bits showing through, but, well, never mind that. And it's topped off with some translucent red for the windshields, which are molded well enough to actually include windshield wipers in them, which is nice. I'll also say the paint match is really nice because the doors here are clear plastic as well, but just from a first glance, you really can't tell that this is just paint and this is plastic. So good on you, Hasbro. Normally, it's not nearly that close. Where I will kind of shun the paint apps a little bit is here, because we have this ladder molded into the side of the van, and rather than avoid painting it, which would actually look correct, we've painted the striping right over it, and it looks absolutely ridiculous. It is literally like you just stuck the ladder onto the side and then just painted over it recklessly, which is unfortunate, because I actually like that detail. Like, seriously, look at the front of the van, and then look, like, here's the windshield and everything. Here's the door. Look how much space is in this van. This is an enormous van, like, absolutely huge. So, like, I kind of like that detail. That kind of gives a little bit of character, a little bit more than just, oh, hey, it's a van. But, I don't know. That felt like a rush job. For other paint apps, you do have some tampographs here, an Autobot logo there in the front, as well as a silver PowerLink symbol on the side, indicating that it is compatible with any deluxe toy. A little bit of gold on the top, too, but that's more for robot mode. Oh, it is also on the hubcaps, so we'll give it that. As far as features go, well, mid-2000 toy, so the wheels are pinned in and are actually quite good. He rolls nicely. And as standard with Energon, he can accept an Energon star in one of the most useless of gimmicks, because it really doesn't do anything. It really just obscures that Autobot symbol that's hidden inside of his spark. But other than that, yeah, he's a nice big solid van, obviously. So let's get that red piece back on him, and we'll give his vehicle mode the full look that it deserves, because he's not just any van. You know, he is either a news van with the radar equipment stuck to the top, or he is, I don't know, some kind of storm chaser van, I would assume. That would explain how big and heavy he is. Or, I don't know, maybe the Ghostbusters take their kids to the, soccer practice in this thing, or maybe they're grandkids at this point. But you never know. Like, I like the personality it gives. It's not just like your standard old, like, I'm gonna drive you and drop you off at school today type van that some later ones have been. And I like that it is a van, not an SUV, because an SUV is more modern. As you can see, it's a bunch of equipment up top. It's very Ecto 1. I kind of dig it that way. And yeah, it's all translucent plastic. And we will get into that once it's time for robot mode. But we got a few things to do before that, which includes transforming. And this is where we kind of get into part-forming territory, because the design of this toy is to homage G1 Ironhide and Ratchet's engineering, which an entire chunk of their vehicle mode was just... Hang on. Oh, man, this is really on there tight. Hang on. There we go. Plastic's a little stiff. It was to remove most of their vehicle mode chunk because, well, that made engineering the van easier, and it turned into something of a battle platform or a miniature playset, and that was kind of cool. On this one, not so much. Here, we'll go ahead and get to that. So we'll fold this out, fold these down, and that's pretty much it. Like, right there. There, there's your battle platform. Like, the insides are molded, and there's some guns painted on the inside, so that's okay. And they did make an effort to mold as much as they could on both the dark beige and all of this detail on the inside of the blue, but yeah, really not feeling it. We can upgrade it, however, and that does involve this. This weapon actually does transform, which we'll do carefully, and you can see where I'm starting to go with this. Aside from the fact it doesn't really look like a weapon with this big scoop on the front. This looks like, if Tow-Line has to take after his dog during a walk. Let me get this out of the way so the camera can focus. That is clear plastic syndrome in a nutshell. Haven't touched this toy in years. Translucent plastic just shatters. As a result, right now, it's barely holding on. This is very loose. And it's lucky that it didn't fall off completely. So good thing I'm reviewing it now, because this weapon piece might not be here much longer. So we're going to, here, we'll separate these out, because you're supposed to be able to, even though it really doesn't make a difference, and actually keeps some of the extra wheels off the ground by doing so. But that gives it more of like an attack turret look, so that kind of works a little bit better. And there's a few other things that we'll do, but we'll get back to that. Let's transform him some more. We'll fold these up, being careful because they are translucent plastic on clear hinges. Get that out of the way so the arms can come forward. We're not quite high enough. There we go. It's a very simple transformation too. Like, this one was very kid-friendly. The interesting thing about the mold was this wasn't released in Japan, at least not till later as far as I know. One of those weird US release things. But this was one of the first molds that came out during that time that wasn't meant for the toy, or meant for the cartoon. It was just a brand new toy for the shelves, which was kind of a weird thing back then, because anything that wasn't in the show was typically a repaint from a previous line. But there you have it. It is toys. It is... I'm flubbing my lines here. I'm out of practice here. Tow-Line. Right. Robot. I'm leaving it in because that's professional. He is very sleek for what he is, and not just in the fact that, he was such a big, beefy van, but because he is an Autobot in the Energon line, which means he has a power link gimmick on top of all of this. Power link gimmick we will get to briefly. First, we will take a better look at the robot mode, including a look at that head. And it is a pretty standard head. I mean, there's nothing like too striking about it. Not a whole lot of personality to it. I get the feeling that it was meant to easily repaint into Ironhide or Ratchet to a believable extent if they wanted to, though they never quite did. And I believe the BotCon toys ended up getting new heads as a result. The detailing is all made up from bits that are left over from the vehicle mode. Really, only the arms and thighs are new parts aside from the head. We've seen pretty much everything else. I will say, I do like the new piece around the waist because there is attention to detail in it, keeping the design of the headlights going. So that's actually a neat little design trait. Paint matches kind of poorly because one's on white and one's on this dark beige, but other than that, that's a nice little detail. Articulation-wise, the neck does rotate all the way around. We have ball-jointed elbows as well as shoulders, so good motion there. Ball-jointed hips and very deep knees. And since it's part of the transformation, feet can fold back as well if you need that. So, he's got some good range opposability going for him, and because he doesn't really have a whole lot of that vehicle bulk, he's very well balanced. He makes a fine little action figure all on his own. And of course, yeah, he can hold his big pooper scooper weapon as well, should you be so inclined to, take Steeljaw for a walk or something like that. Let's get back to this. Now, we could just park him behind here and say this is one whole battle platform setup. He can't really reach the vehicle, and, well, he'd have to be on his knees in order to actually hold on to this thing in any way. So let's do something even more bizarre. Let's get super weird with this guy. There, we will turn him into Power Links mode. We'll flip this all the way over. I think this has to be completely out of the way. Hang on. It's been a while since I did this. Okay. Now we will fold out the guns here from the feet. Could have had them out if you want them to have gun toes, but I'm not a gun toe person. And then we will fold these down into position, which is a little bit wonky because it really wants to fold up all the way together. It's not. Hang on. We will go with whatever it will allow us to do. So he has the power link mode of most of them. Let's flip the legs over the shoulders and call them guns. And that's a pretty basic and essential one. Okay, got that. But then we also have this piece, which means he is the only one who can use this gimmick all on his own and power link with himself. Oh, he's just that kind of bot. And the resulting amalgamation is a little bizarre, to be honest with you. So he's got these enormous guns over his shoulders. He's still got his standard arms. But now, he's got no legs. And it would be okay. It'd kind of be okay if the design was a little bit different. But it now just kind of looks like his body just ends, just below his torso. And because of the way they want you to do the legs, split out like this, and I even called it there. They're treads, but they look like legs. They look like tiny little frog legs just kind of stuck underneath them. It's bizarre. It's kind of neat. I give him credit. He does a lot more than I would figure one of these toys to do. So that's okay. I give him that, but it's weird, man. And of course, any of the other Autobots can power link onto that section of his body. I mean, it's definitely one of the most unique toys in the Energon line. I give it that. And it's bizarre and kind of fun, but man, it's weird. But it is Energon, and as my camera struggles to maintain focus on a black background, we will break out Inferno, who is probably one of the best of the legs, to demonstrate him in a more proper Power Links mode. There we go. Snap into place. Legs. Little bit. There's no knee bend. There's no sideways knee bend to get those big shoulder blasters to cooperate a little bit better. So they just kind of go wherever they really want to go. Really don't want to cooperate with you. I'll pull the camera back a little bit so you get a little bit more fuller look. So he can actually power link. Trick is, since he's not using his legs or any of his big bulk in order to form his arms, the proportions are really strange. He does look like a very tiny torso on top of very massive legs. Now, nothing's going to collide with any of the Power Links modes because his folds up pretty far up, so no issue there. But he does come across kind of weird looking again. But still, one of the things I liked about Energon was just how versatile this gimmick is, and well, it added a little bit of play value to every toy you purchased, because everything that came in added something else for the other ones to do. So, and yeah, I kind of like the Power Links gimmick. As for part forming, I will say it is very strange that they decided to go this route, but I think they created a very unique toy doing it this way. Here, the part forming is intentional. They absolutely could have made a robot using the full bulk of that vehicle. However, in choosing not to, it's kind of a G1 throwback, something that those lines at the time really didn't do so much, since they were focusing more on new characters. But yeah, it's bizarre. But it's bizarre in a fun way. I quite like Towline, I will admit. I wish I still had the Deluxe Optimus, because he power links a lot better to him since they are both kind of small for their size class. Ah well. I like him for what he is. So, that is Towline from Energon. A toy that just... Another one of those toys is just like, I feel like there's like something more that should have been done with this mold and never quite happened. Botcon gave it a few stabs, and then Hasbro made better Ironhide and Ratchet. So, I don't know. You never quite get everything you want, do you?